All right, so Caleb had his pro day yesterday, and his future teammate Keenan Allen was in attendance. You said on your show yesterday that Caleb will fall somewhere between Troy Aikman and Terry Bradshaw. So that means about 3 to 4 Super Bowls, maybe?
Well, let me add
I like how you put him right
at
where Patrick Mahomes is right now, to give you a little time.
No, so that's not even how it happened. Wilds went through the 15 most successful number 1 overall pick quarterbacks. And he was like, do you think Caleb will be better than this guy? And so he asked me, would he be better than Aikman? I said yes. And the next name he said was Bradshaw. And I said no. So that, you know what I mean? That's where it was. That wasn't so much that he's necessarily winning that many Super Bowls. But it is that I think he will be a better player than Aikman. Bradshaw is, kind of universally considered one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks ever. Am I going to go ahead and install Caleb there? That seems a little too bullish. But I do think Caleb is going to be great. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, with that said, how long do you think it'll be until we see Mahomes and Caleb Williams face off in a Super Bowl?
So here's the funny thing about Super Bowls. We very rarely get Marino, Montana. Now, I use that example because we did get Marino, Montana in the one Super Bowl Marino won, where it's like these are the 2 best quarterbacks alive, and they're in the Super Bowl. And, you got Aikman, Kelly twice, but neither Aikman nor Kelly were really in the argument for the best quarterback in the league. You did get Favre Elway, but Elway was at the very, very end and was no longer MVP Elway. But it's pretty rare that you get, 2 top 3 or 4 quarterbacks against each other in a Super Bowl. So if we, let's just go backwards and see. And so, yes, I do think Caleb's going to be a superstar quarterback. And some of that is just happenstance, like Brady and Manning played in the same conference forever. So they played 5 times in the playoffs, but they could never play in the Super Bowl because for the entirety of Manning's career, they were both in the AFC. So here are the Super Bowl matchups that we've had, just going backwards. Mahomes, Purdy, so that's number 1 versus number 19.
2 greats.
Mahomes, Hurts. Now, that was the MVP and the MVP runner-up, but I don't know how that's going to age historically.
Right.
People are going to be like, oh, wow. Burrow, Stafford, pretty good. 2 guys both firmly in the top 7 or 8. Brady, Mahomes, obviously a legendary matchup. It didn't turn. The game ended up not being a good game, but that was, from a quarterback perspective, probably the best you could have hoped for. Mahomes, Garoppolo, no good. Brady, Goff, when Goff was at that, I understand. Well, Goff wasn't struggling yet, and that one looked better in the moment than it does now, and also that was a 13-3. Brady, Foles, whatever. Brady, Matt Ryan, the year Matt Ryan won NFL MVP. That's a pretty great one. And ended up being one of the greatest Super Bowls ever. Peyton Manning, Cam Newton, but that year Peyton got benched. That year Peyton was at the very, very end. So Peyton got hurt and got benched and then came back. I think he had, you're not going to believe, the year Peyton won his last Super Bowl, DeMonte, and I love this part of I know I've said this so many times, but I love this part of the pod, the natural discovery from things that happened when you were in high school or earlier. Yeah. And I'm not being a smartass here. I'm not at all.
No,
I hope
seriously.
I'm
when we
not
get to
taking
these,
a shot.
we are wandering off into uncharted territory for me. I'm learning new stuff.
Exactly. And so Peyton's final year in Denver, he had 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and a 68 passer rating. And they won the Super Bowl. So so it's such a unique spot. Peyton's second year in Denver. Was their running game
really good?
They had Von Miller, DeMarcus. They had one of the best defenses in the league. Peyton's second year in Denver, when they made the Super Bowl and lost, he had 5,500 yards and 55 touchdowns, one of the maybe the greatest quarterbacking season ever. But then by the end of his third year, you could tell, oh, wait, he's not the same guy. And then his final year in Denver he got hurt. Brock Osweiler took over. Peyton then took back over. And Peyton was just not and even in that playoff run, in that entire playoff run when they won the title, Peyton threw for 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. Just wasn't the same guy. All right, so back to what we were doing here. Brady Russell Wilson was pretty good. And Russell Wilson prime Peyton Manning was pretty good. But then you have things like Flacco Cap, Brady Eli. Big Ben Rodgers is probably the best, like, Caleb Mahomes possibility, which is, Rodgers at that point was maybe, en route to being considered maybe the best quarterback in the league alongside Brady and Manning. Big Ben was already a Super Bowl champion a couple times over. And so that's a really good one. And obviously, Breeze Peyton when it was prime Peyton. So that's just, going through the last 15 years. So it is our bet. If Caleb makes a Super Bowl, and I believe he will, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to be a great Super Bowl matchup, because it's either going to be him against Mahomes or him against Allen or him against Lamar or him against CJ. It's going to be, or him against the Prince or him against Justin. It's very hard to imagine an AFC team without a great quarterback going, making it to the Super Bowl in this era. But yeah, my confidence in Caleb is as high as it's been. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. Do you think he'll be there in the next 3?
Well,
5?
So here's another thing, and I know that this podcast, we're kind of doing a bit of history lessons, but the quarterbacks that make Super Bowls, make them early. Russ made 2 on his rookie deal. Mahomes made 2 on his rookie deal. Burrow made 1 on his rookie deal. Cam was at the end of his rookie deal. Flacco, who's not a great player, was at the end of his rookie deal. Ever since when the Eagles made it, they had Wentz on his rookie deal. He got hurt. Foles was the backup, but Wentz got him to 12-3 or whatever they were, 13-2 something. And then Jalen, obviously, on his rookie deal. Purdy was on his rookie deal. So if Caleb is the guy that I think he is, the Bears probably should make a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. If he is the guy that, now Lamar's great, he hasn't made one. Josh Allen's great, he hasn't made one. But those guys have had to go through Mahomes. Their best years have all been ended by Patrick. You don't really have that so much in the NFC. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.